Hi, this is Jack Westman for ESCAnews.com here in Cologne, Germany for the ESL 1 CSGO Championships. Joining me this time is Chad Spunj Birchill from VoxE, fresh over from Australia. Chad, how's the event going so far? Well, obviously out, but good to be back here in Europe.
Yeah, it's good to be back. Just a quick thing, my voice is recovering. I lost it in the last couple of days, so it's a bit husky, and I might have the occasional squeak, so just bear with me.
Was this through illness or passionate boot camping?
A bit of both. Before I left home, I felt I was getting sick, and then in the boot camp, getting quite passionate, yelling a lot, getting really involved. I don't think that helped the voice too much, but I'm on the recovery, so we're all good.
Okay, well, getting through the vodka at the very least.
Yes.
So your group stage games yesterday, you lost your first two maps and dropped out of the tournament.
Yep.
As painful as it may be, I'd like to talk about those. So the first one, you lost 9-16 to Dignitas. I forget what map that was.
It was on Dust 2.
Dust 2.
Yeah.
Was that? What did you expect going into that game?
Well, the vetoes went our way. They dropped both the new maps, the terrible maps.
Yeah.
So we got lucky with the vetoes. We could get rid of Mirage and Nuke, which worked in our favour, left us with Inferno, Cache and Dust 2. We were happy with any of those. We had done our research on them on those, and we drew Dust 2. I was happy with that. They started CT because they could pick side, which was even better. We started Ts. We started strong. We won pistol. We had a lot of close rounds. I think the score was 5-5 at one point. And then we lost a couple of silly rounds where we made the early picks, and they just took advantage of it. We lost a couple of 2v2s, 2v1s that we really should have won. And that half, we went down 9-6. Going into the second half, they just blitzed us on CD pistol. They found out what we were doing, and they just took advantage of that. And then it was just a struggle from there. We were battling for every round on the CT side. And the game was closer than the scoreline, I feel. And I think they respected us with how strong we came out on the T side. But yeah, we would have loved to get in the double digits or a little bit closer, but we gave that game our all, and that didn't end in our favour, obviously.
No. Just talking about respect, do you feel as though you come into this tournament as underdogs, do you feel that teams don't respect your presence on a map, that they kind of write you off at the beginning of a game?
Dignitas, when we pracked them for Katowice, we were playing online, and they were the only team that really played the game like kind of in your face. We don't care who you are, we don't care what you do, we're just going to run at you. Right. And they were the only team which completely blitzed us in prac, like we're talking like 28-2 kind of score lines, whereas the other teams we felt semi-competitive in practice. So coming in, we figured that they wouldn't be respecting us, same deal, but it is LAN, so I think we showed that we're able to compete. It hurts to only get 9 rounds, but yeah, we did our best.
You also mentioned the two new maps, Cobble and Overpass. I've been asking everybody I've spoken to here about those because it's a big topic here at a major to have these two new maps in the pool.
Yep.
What are your thoughts on both of them?
I think I'm probably the only one that criticised the maps publicly and quite heavily.
Not in these interviews.
Not in these interviews. No. But I don't think, especially for the niche markets like America and Australia and Southeast Asia and places where we have no reason to practice them or decent teams to practice them, it's good. Because, it's not good. Because we come to these events, we can't practice them. That means we have to write the maps off before we even get here. Unless we come here and put in a month boot camp and try and learn the maps, and then we still have to catch up with the Euros on the other 5 maps, it's it's ridiculous. We're already 5 steps behind, and then that's putting us even further behind. I know I was talking to Steele, and he felt the same. What do you do? And he's also speaking about how the Americans had they were playing Mirage CE for a lot longer than the Euros, who went straight onto the new Mirage. Yeah. So you don't want to play Mirage against the Euros because they have 6 months extra ahead as well on that map. So you're down to 4 maps. You can't veto them all. So it's just a bit rough. And I don't like the layout of Cobble. It's too messy. There's too many corners to check. It's not clean. Whereas in 1.6 and in Source, Cobble was a clean map. It was a really hard map for terrorists, but at least it was clean and it made sense. This version, they've tried to add in too much, and it just doesn't work. Overpass, on the other hand, it's another map. Only time we could play it was in matchmaking. Nobody in Australia would practice us on it. We would ask and they would play, but it would be like playing pub. Right. You're just running around learning the map. Nobody cared. We wanted to care, but it was too hard to invest it when you knew the other team wasn't taking the map seriously either, buying scouts, force buying, shotguns. What's the point? So my view on the maps, maybe I'm being a bit harsh, but for us, where we live, it's pointless. And I have spoken to the Valve guys about it, and they said, well, what are the ways around it? And I said, well, different maps. Brute, if you're watching, release Tuscan, you muppet. Thanks.
Just talking about the yeah, nice. Just talking about the domestic practice opportunities for you guys, because when I spoke to your DreamHack, you and Sniper were having a conversation about what it's like trying to find quality scrims or practice matches down in Australia.
Yep.
Is that still the case? Because you're still the #1 team, right?
I think he was a bit harsher on our opponents than I was.
Yeah.
I feel that there are quality opponents and there are teams which are able to push us, but the only reason they're able to push us is because we're the only team that they have to beat. So they can stick together, practice against each other, focus on us, just try and pip us. That's all they have to do. Whereas we want to play a game that we can bring over to these events, and that gets stale really quickly. And for us to have to keep adapting for the Australian metagame when we want to be able to prepare our stuff to a point where it's so well drilled to be able to use it over here and it to be different and unusual, because let's face it, the only way we're going to win at a tournament like this, even just one game, is element of surprise. The metagame in Europe changes so quickly that we couldn't even keep up with it if we tried. I can watch as many demos as I want, but I'm not going to learn from just watching demos. We physically need to be playing the teams. So at home, right now, there are probably, I'd say, 4 teams that can play us and play us to a decent level and push us. Whether or not they're ever going to beat us is a different question. They put in a lot of prep. Like last time we went home and we lost the one online league that's prestigious to us, because we came back, we played games straight away, and we just played the same game that we played in Europe, and that kind of meant they could see what we did. They studied us and they were well prepared for us, and we weren't prepared for them, which is slack by us, because that's our #1 thing that we should be winning. We should make sure, on top of everything, that we're still like the #1 team in Australia, which we are because we've won this qualifier and stuff, and we'll continue to do so when we need to step it up. But going back in home this time, they really need to watch out, because after that week, once we get back, we get over our jet lag, we're going to take it super seriously. We're not messing around. I'm going to be putting in a lot of effort to making sure that we can topple them, and topple them properly like they should be. So yeah, it's a bit of a threat right there.
Fighting words.
Yeah.
Do you feel, well, is there a noticeable difference in the style of play in Europe and Australia?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. Not the quality, just the style.
Here, it's very adaptive and it adapts very quickly. Yep. In Australia, you can run the same thing multiple times until it works, because people are a little bit, I guess, stubborn in the way they play, and they won't change the way they play. They'll just assume if we keep trying, it's going to work. Right. Whereas over here, if I do a strat that works once, I can't do it again versus another European team. So over here, the depth in your strategies and the way that you play the game and your rotations and every little finer detail, it has to be huge. In Australia, your depth can be very small and you can still win games, because you can rely a lot more on individual players as opposed to well-drilled gameplay. Right. And that's the main difference, I think, between Australia and Europe. Is Australia, individual players who have a lot of talent, and Europe is obviously, you've got those really like strong individual players with teamwork and the understanding of how to play the game. So we're lacking that, I feel.
Okay, well, just jumping back to your second maps, because we got a little bit sidetracked there. So you lost firstly 9-16 to Dignitas, then you went straight into your Titan game.
Yep.
And just got the 1 round against Titan.
Yep.
Again, sorry to bring these things
up.
That's
fine.
Was that just a motivation issue, the fact that you, or just a better team?
Well, Titan and Dignitas are probably both considered, I'd say, within the top 10, top 8, maybe in the top 5, those two teams. So we're versing hard teams regardless. And I didn't want to play Cobble and I didn't want to play Overpass, and I made that publicly known, and they knew that. So their vetoes kind of went the way that I had to veto those maps, as opposed to being able to get rid of Mirage and Nuke, which is what we did versus Dignitas. And we were just unlucky to random Nuke. And because because Titan vetoed first, they got to pick side, and they picked CT. And starting T-side Nuke versus Titan, which is probably one of their best maps, is not fun for anybody. We did it at MSI Beat It. They did the same thing there. We got a few more rounds, but they still walked all over us. Yep. It's just the way they rotate and the way they play their CT and Nuke is unreal. And like I said about adaptation, like we'd run a strat, we'd get close, we'd try and run it again, all of us were dead. So it was a demoralizing loss. Like, I'm going to be completely and utterly honest here. I played terribly. I feel terrible for my team. I need to lift my game. There's 2 tournaments in a row that I've played pretty average. I just want to get that out there so everybody knows I feel horrible. Like last night on the train ride home, we had an hour-and-a-half train ride. I'm feeling depressed, gutted. Like I just feeling like I'm letting my team and kind of my country down, because that's who we're representing. Not only VoxE, but we are the Australian representatives, and I do feel sad.
You did have a particularly tough group, that just to add to your excuse here. I mean, the groups here are all stacked. Every team here is phenomenal, right? but your group, Dignitas, Titan,
Yeah.
Cloud9, all great teams in their own right. What was your reaction when you first saw that back in Australia?
Well, I was, to be honest, like, we thought it could have been worse. Like, all the groups
Really?
are hard, like you said. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
But, like, Titan, when we practiced them last time round, they really respected us because we put up good results. And Nyack said in an interview to a French website that they respected us, and that meant a lot to us. Like, that made us feel really good because Titan were a great team.
Yeah.
So we knew that if we got to play them, they would definitely respect us. And obviously they respected us and drilled us into the ground. So I thought we could have a better showing versus them. And I thought with Dignitas, like, they were a really great team, but the element of surprise I felt was on our side, and we prepared. Well, we watched what they did, and we thought our style would have like been really good versus theirs. It just didn't happen on the day. So
Right. You've also added a new player to the team since Katowice, right?
Yep.
JKS. What does he add to your team?
he's got a cool nickname. It's Baby Beebs. He looks a bit like Justin Bieber, and he's only 18. But no, he's just a cool, calm kid who's a massive fragger, and his personality, like, he's not very talkative. He's quiet, but he doesn't. The best way to describe him in the team, he just fits. Like, he's just what we need. We've got 4 big personalities in the team anyway. Adding him in, being able to do his job, it kind of fits in well. Like, it kind of settles the team. And he's a positive guy. He helps with the motivation. I think we're all on the same wavelength, and now the team fits. I feel like we have better cohesion, and not only that, I feel maybe we're having a bit more fun this time round. And I don't know if that's a good thing, Counter-Strike wise or not, but in terms of gameplay, he brings that role. Like, he's another player that I feel we can leave on his own, and he can do his own thing. So I can work strategies around my other guys and try and work more stuff in.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's about it.
Okay. I'm aware it's looking very likely to rain out here, and
Yep.
I've taken a lot of your time. I've got 2 more questions.
Okay.
This is your 3rd major CSGO major in a row.
Yep.
Over here in Europe. Technically, you were playing the BYOC qualifier at DreamHack,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
you were there.
Yeah.
And then you lost in the groups in Katowice. Do you feel like you're improving during these trips to Europe?
It's hard to feel like you're improving when you lose 2 games and you're out.
Yeah.
I think we're understanding how to play the game against the Europeans better. I would love to get a chance to play a group stage that's best of 3, so we can get warmed up, we can get into the game, so to speak. I feel that's the only way that we're going to be able to start feeling if we're improving. It's too hard to tell. I feel like individually my players showed that they're on par aim-wise and ability-wise.
Yeah.
It's just, it's so much more intense than anything we've done in Australia or do in Australia. It's just, we have to be given more games and more opportunities for us to really feel comfortable. It's not like we're nervous. It's just a different zone to be in. So I don't know if we're improving. It's too hard to say. I'd like to think we are.
Okay, but, well, final question then. At the very least, was it worth it? I mean, you've flown all the way from Australia, you had a long boot camp, and then you've come here to the event and you've played 2 official maps and been kicked straight out. Is it all worth it for the stakes?
For us, taking time off full-time work and doing this, that, and the other, you can look at it and you can pick all the negatives. You can say, yeah, we played 2 maps.
Yeah.
We've travelled halfway across the world. The organisation spent all this money on us, but at the end of the day, this is our passion. This is what we love. This is what we live for. So realistically, yeah, it is worth it. To come and lose, doesn't matter. We're still the best in our region. We've come over, we've given it a crack, and we're in Germany. Like, to get trips to go around the world, it's amazing. Like,
Definitely.
and to be involved, like, even just to be involved and talk to these guys and be at their level, it's amazing, and it makes us all feel like it's worth it, I think.
Do you feel fan support from back home?
Oh, of course. Everybody, no matter how we play, they say, well done, nice try, guys, and they're behind us. There are always people out there who are going to criticise and say you should have done better, you should have done this, you should have done whatever.
Yeah.
But what do you do about those naysayers? They're in every part of the world, so
Yeah.
just keep our chins up and hopefully go back and win another qualifier and try again.
Heads held high.
Yeah.
Chad, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Always a pleasure talking to you.
Yep.
Do you want to run through shout-outs before we go sponsors?
Yeah, no, just a big shout out to MSI, Ben Q, and our newest sponsor, M-Wave. And I'd just like to thank the manager, Talnoy, for everything he does for us. We love you, and talk to you when we get home.
All right.
Cheers.
Thank you very much. For everybody at esca.net and escanews.com, stay tuned for the to the websites for full coverage of the rest of the event here in Cologne, Germany.